All right, welcome back to the Run.down post-game show here on the Strickland YouTube channel. If you're listening to this the day after the Strickland Podcast Network, I am Sam. I am joined by Schwinn and Jeff. Knicks win 111-97 versus the new look LA Clippers. Before we get started, though, I have to do this ad read. So here we go. The last of the major pro sports leagues kicks off this week, and BetOnline is your top spot for all your NBA action this season. With MLB postseason, NFL, and college football, and NHL in full swing, BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. Get everything NBA at your fingertips with both the desktop and mobile access for every sport anytime. Head to the BetOnline app today to get in on the action. Don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, so Knicks get their first home win of the year versus the new look Clippers, and probably the Knicks' most complete game of the year, I would say so far. The bar is, however, very low for our standards right now because the team has been pretty abysmal in a lot of areas, and certain players have been pretty abysmal and just fluctuating. Very good games from, I would say, RJ. Very good game from the bench. Good game, sort of, by the way Julius standards have been this year. This qualifies as a good game. We will get into the details of this good game.
Start with the positives.
Yeah, we'll start with the positives. We don't want to, get into a shitstorm automatically right away.
I thought Mitch played a really good game too.
Mitch also played a really great game. He's been having probably, arguably, the best start to the season that he's ever had. And just showing that maturity in his game and his body, just on both ends of the floor. I mean, just killing it on the offensive glass. What was it, like 8 or 9 offensive rebounds tonight again?
I would tell you, but ESPN box score is fucking just broken right now. So I'll get back to that.
Someone said they're defecating on themselves right now at ESPN. Which is pretty accurate for their overall coverage of anything, regardless.
I think it was 9.
Yeah, I remember at one point in the fourth quarter he had like 8 right before the Clippers started to pull their guys. But yeah, I mean, like I said, pretty much the most complete game for the Knicks so far this year. We'll start with the positives, of course. RJ Barrett back in his first game, looked like he didn't miss a beat, really. One thing that someone had mentioned, like I forgot, I think it was in the last post game that I was doing. They were talking about how the Knicks transition game looks different with RJ, and I think it's because RJ just fills the lanes a little bit better than the other guys do, and he just like knows where to be a little bit better. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but I noticed that today the transition points, especially with RJ, definitely looked much better. Like the process in transition looked better. But yeah.
It pretty much, like, I feel like there's for transition specifically, like I pretty much trust everyone except for Julius and to a lesser degree Brunson. Brunson had a transition take today that was like, I was gonna freak out. It was just like, I don't know. There's just times when his I feel pretty comfortable just saying he's a bad passer. Like we used to just be like, oh, like Tibbs. I just don't think he's a very good passer at all. And I think that kind of pokes its head out in transition. We had a 4-on-2, and Hart did the opposite of what you were just saying about RJ. He filled the lane pretty poorly, but still, like, there were multiple options, and he just ended up trying to draw a foul and taking some ridiculous, like, fadeaway 10-footer. I mean, I'm not going to come down on Brunson too hard. It was a bad game, but yeah, I agree with you about RJ. Transitions where he's always thrived. I'm not going to say he used to be perfect, but it was one of the more maddening things about why the Knicks played so slow is like it was kind of an RJ suppressor. And the more they get out in early transition, the more turnovers they create, the better opportunities he's going to have. So, yeah, I mean, that's just win-win for the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would say about his transition, and I would guess that 2 or 3 of his turnovers were just like dumb takes in transition. He still has he does not ever, like, there's multiple times you can watch this. If you watch any possession where he bring the ball up the floor, especially with the bench, where if they have numbers break, he will pass. He's not a selfish player in that sense, but he'll make hit ahead passes to guys that are cutting in on an angle towards the hoop. He sees those passes. He never sees Quickley will always be on the opposite side of him. Like if he's bringing it up the left, Quickley will be spotted up on the right wing, and he never sees that pass. Like he never makes that quick pass. He always tries to take it into the lane. So that's just like something that, I mean, I don't think it's like it's a tick of his. Like it's definitely a thing I've noticed. It's probably something you would like to see him obviously become a little bit more diverse as a passer in transition. But as far as just like getting into transition, filling the lane, and knowing kind of he takes good angles. We have a lot of guys in this team that don't take good angles in transition. Like Randle is something in transition. I don't know what he's something. But RJ, if you watch him, he like when especially I don't like RJ that much leading the break in transition. What I do like is when he's ahead of the ball or he's filling in the lane next to somebody bringing it up, because I think he takes really, really good angles. I think he spaces the floor well in those moments. And he's, when he's able to catch it, especially if he barely has to put a dribble on the floor, like he's almost impossible to stop then. He's just so strong and he's good at getting angles now. And I think his finishing with both hands actually has improved a lot. So, yeah, he played really well. I think, look, the 3-point shot he was 2 for it tonight. I don't even know what the hell he is for the year, but like it just looks good. He was 6 of 6 from the free throw line tonight. Also, another great thing, Knicks were 17 of 18 from the line. Julius was also 6 of 6. So shout out to the Knicks for practicing free throws, I guess.
Both of RJ's threes came from the left corner, receiving the ball like from the side, and him being able to load up from the side like that. He seems really comfortable doing that. He doesn't seem as comfortable like above the break or top of the key. But
I think he's comfortable above the break if he catches it from that side. So like the same side.
Yeah, that's fair. I said this on the Strickland account. His free throw shooting gives hope that, look, I don't think he's going to be like a 40% plus 3-point shooter. Maybe like some random seasons he will be, but I just mean like on the whole. But when you shoot 80 to 85% from the free throw line, if that's really what he's going to do, then that just means he's improving as a shooter. And the new form thing is legit. So let's hope he keeps that up, because then it's reasonable to expect him to shoot 35, 36% from 3 consistently. Like, yeah.
Yeah, he just, I don't really care if he's a 40% 3-point shooter. I just need him to be somewhere around league average. And if the free throws are good, then you're fine. Like that is going to be a high efficiency scorer, or not even, I mean, maybe not maybe like a 60 true shooting guy, but if he's like a 57-ish true shooting guy, that's good. Like you'll take that any day of the week, especially because again, like I thought his defense again tonight was really good. I thought he was locked in, thought he made his rotations. He's never going to be like some elite lockdown guy, but as long as he's not giving up buckets, right? Like he's not giving you anything. That's really the key for him. And
that's what was the issue last year.
Yeah, and he's obviously big enough where you can be versatile with him. You can switch him at different times. So like everything you're seeing from RJ right now, like I could sit here and nitpick what he did. I'm not going to do that, because the fun thing is he's 23. So when you're that young, you get the benefit of the doubt.
Save that for the other guys.
Yes. But like you're seeing growth in we're seeing growth in a lot of the areas you wanted to see it in. I still think like the passing stuff with him, it's like you're like it could be, it needs to be like 20% better, and it would make such a massive difference for him. He had one pass today that I was just like, he drove in, he had Quickley in the corner, which was like the pass you want to make, and instead he tried to make some insane wraparound pass to the top of the key that, like, I don't even know who picked it off. They just took it coast to coast, but it was just like such a bad pass, and it was such a bizarre read. Like, it's not even a read. You should never make that pass. You should basically, like, unless you're playing with a pick and pop big and you feel the big, like, chasing behind you, so you know that guy's going to be open, like, you should never throw that pass. But yes, like, overall, exactly what you want to see from him. And I think the most encouraging thing, and I think this is an interesting point of conversation, is like, he played his best basketball with the bench. I don't think him and that bench group have actually been that good this season, but I also think it's because they're working through some stuff, and like the signs are there. I think you've seen flashes.
Today was like the most complete that they've looked.
Yeah,
we at least want them to look.
Yeah, today was perfect. Like, not even, maybe not perfect, but like today was really good. I think you're getting a sense of like they are better understanding now of each other's skill sets. Like I thought today again was really encouraging signs between how Quickley and DiVincenzo were playing off each other. I was really happy that in the fourth quarter, Josh Hart did not try to do like anything that he should not try to do. He did not try to run any half court offense. He did not pump fake and drive into like 17 people and try to do like a 360 spin pass or something. Like he just did all the Josh Hart things you want him to do. And he's awesome when he does that. Like you can feel like when he got that, they had that they had that sequence where he stole the ball and set RJ up for a fast break, right, for a layup that to put the lead out to 7 within the first 2 minutes of the quarter. The Clippers took a timeout, but like when he makes plays like that, you can feel that in the building. Like you can feel that give the Knicks a lift. You can feel him lift the tempo of the game. Like he does have this ability to lift the tempo of a game when he does it at the right times. And I thought he injected that at the right times. I thought he played with himself. And then like the thing with Quickley tonight that I thought was really good was like he took 5 shots, I think. Maybe even I think whatever it was. It doesn't really matter. But like he just didn't force the action at all. He did not he even his playmaking, he was not trying to like manipulate the defense and set somebody up for the perfect corner 3. He was just getting in the paint, quick read. Like he was making quick decisions. He was letting other guys, feel the ball, make the right play. I really liked how often he was just calling out and setting up sets just for RJ to come basically around the screen and initiate. Like these are just small things where you're getting flow in the offense. You're trusting your teammates. And I thought that group, they blew the game open in that fourth quarter. Like within what was it, like 4 or 5 minutes where it was a 17-point game all of a sudden. Their defense was incredible. Like they absolutely locked the Clippers up.
Flying around the court.
The one fucking, basket they got was that bullshit ass Harden 3-point foul call. And like, it was awesome. Like that was, I know they have their numbers. If you probably look at them right now, they're not good, but like I have felt all season that group is really close to like getting it together. And we saw this last year with the bench too, where they kind of were like, and then it was like, oh yeah, now we're really good. I think this group is going to take off pretty soon here. Actually, I really liked what I saw from DiVincenzo tonight. This what felt like, I know he had that game in Atlanta where he cooked, but this felt like sustainable in a totally different way. Like I felt like
he was doing non-shooting things, like his defense,
because the shooting was insane in that Atlanta game.
The defense and the offensive rebounding are things that he can bring every night.
His offensive rebounding is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
it's like another Josh Hart out there.
The one play that really stood out to me, and I think kind of encapsulates that shift by the bench unit, was the missed Quickley 3. Yes. DiVincenzo offensive rebound. He flies in, Quickley shifts above the break. RJ shifts to the top of the key. DiVincenzo relocates to the corner and Quickley passes it back to him for the relocation. You made such a good point, Schwinn, when you brought up the energy that RJ brought. And I think I'll just sort of carry that over to just the entire bench unit, because it would obviously be insane to compare these Knicks to like the peak Warriors. But I do think that one similar yet like lesser but similar thing that they had is when that bench unit has been cooking these last few years, sometimes it just would feel like an onslaught of like momentum. And especially at home when the crowd would get into it, it just felt like the other team couldn't ever score. And just all these things would just like snowball for the Knicks. And for the first time tonight with that bench unit, it felt like that. Like they could do no wrong on either end. And I mean, they need that to happen. Like they need this bench unit to be really good because, well, not because, I mean, the starting unit's been really, really good, but if the bench unit can go from the negative it's been for the first 6 games to closer to what it's been for the last few years, all of a sudden you have a starting unit that's, carrying its own. The starting unit's net rating this season is like 7 + 7 or 8 per 100. It was really good last season. And then if you have a really good bench unit to win, like that's the path to winning 45, 50, maybe even more games, if things roll their way. So this is really encouraging. I'm going to hop off, but I look forward to hearing you guys talk about a couple of things that maybe it's best that I'm not here for, because I think I would have been a little bit more negative than that. But I hope y'all enjoy it.
Yeah. All right, Jeff. Take care. Yeah, I mean, I just think everything about that group today was fun. Hartenstein was really, really good too with them. And yeah, I mean, look, I think there were times last year where that group, you felt like they were one rebounder short, maybe. Not like, I mean, I know Obi's numbers as a rebounder are basically the same as DiVincenzo, but it feels much different.
Different.
Part of that is obviously because DiVincenzo is a guard, so you're like, well, this is awesome. But I just think like that group, I would suspect it rebounds better than they did last year with Obi in place of DiVincenzo. The defense definitely looks better to me. The Knicks once again held a team under 100 points. I don't know how many times have they done that now this year. They've done that. Is that 3 times?
Um,
They did that to Cleveland. They did that to Cleveland twice, didn't they? They did it to
yeah,
Cleveland twice.
I believe so.
They did it to New Orleans in a loss, and they did it again tonight. That's 4 times. Like whatever it is, but this defense is legit. And I think whatever you want to say about Jalen Brunson's offense, which has not been good this year, minus a couple of explosions, his defense has been way better this season. He made some terrible play at the end of down the stretch in the fourth quarter. Granted, it was against their fucking bench warmers, but like he immediately came down and they got a steal. Like his effort on that end has been a lot better. So I'm very happy with the defensive effort you're seeing from everybody.
Four times under
Yeah.
100.
That's really, really impressive. 4 times in this league under 100 is very impressive. And considering how bad of an offensive start they've gotten off to before today, and even today, I mean, it's not like they exploded or something.
Yeah.
But like considering that, I mean, thank God, because without that, they would be fucking 0-7 right now. But yeah, like that defensive effort consistently has been there. And I was just really, really impressed with kind of like, again, that bench group. I can't say enough about it. I thought they're really good. And I will say, like, I know Josh Hart has not shot the ball well. I thought he actually played fine against the Bucks. Like, I didn't. Thank God I wasn't on the fucking post game for that because I would have been furious. I mean, I was furious. But like, I thought he played well. I thought he looked physically better, and that wasn't the case all year. He looks like he's in a good place right now physically. Finally, he was moving much better today. I think his explosiveness, finishing around the rim, is better. It just feels like he's moving better. He's got his feet underneath him again, or his legs underneath him again. So it was really good to see him, and it was nice to see him make a fucking 3.
And I think also just being back with that bench unit helps him out much better than being with the starters. Just like overall the spacing of the unit as well as just like who is he playing with. I think like just the sheer more movement of the second unit is a better brand of basketball for Josh Hart to be playing within than the stagnant ISO heavy offense that the starters play with, because like it forces Josh Hart to be staying in the corner guy, whereas when he's with the bench he's like more of like a cutter and a mover and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely part of the problem. I mean, look, the starters, I'm happy RJ played well, and I'm happy that Randall had a good shooting game, but like that group still just looks
Very
really
discombobulated.
very discombobulated. They're not on the same page. And I do think part of the issue is Grimes is not doing shit. Like he's not shooting.
He was
well.
invisible tonight. Like I forgot that he was even playing tonight.
He was not. He's not shooting well. He is not showing you any level of growth with what he's able to do with the ball in his hands. And that is going to be an impediment for him in the short term for sure, but also like right now in his career, like that he's not bringing anything. Like the defense is fine. The defense is still good. Like there's no issue with that. I think today he played really good defense. Kawhi made like a tough bank shot over him, and it's like, okay, well, whatever. But like I think the defense is still there, but he needs to get something going here. Like and he's not getting bad threes. Like he's not getting bad looks. He's getting good looks. It's about cashing them in. And it's like, he's like shooting like he's on a fucking timer. Like, I'm like, dude, you're wide open. You don't need to get the shot up like you're going up. Yeah, it's not like there's 0.4 seconds left on the shot clock here. Fucking relax. So he's got to get it together, because I'll tell you what, like the way DiVincenzo played tonight, he keeps playing like that. He will take his minutes. He will take his spot in the starting lineup. I am almost positive about that. Like you can, and I'm not here to tell you that. Well, why wouldn't it be Quickley? I don't want to have that conversation. I'm just telling you. I think that if DiVincenzo plays like he did tonight, and Grimes continues to be the invisible man offensively, that is what will happen, because that is Tibbs clearly has a idea in his head of what that fourth guy in the lineup should be, and DiVincenzo is very much built to play that role, and he plays that like he's a spot up shooter, right? Like he attacks closeouts. I some of his attacks are, they're there. They are certainly there, but like
They leave a lot to be desired.
Yeah, he's a pretty decent passer off them. He made a really good pass today. He got a kick out and then he drove and then he swung it to, I think, was that the Hart three where he found Hart in the corner? I think that was Hart.
Mhm.
Like he's making good plays, making good reads. I just think like you can very easily see him slot into that role. And yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to happen right this minute or anything, but Grimes really needs to just get something going here. And I this is a good point. This is from Aaron Bender in the chat. When Harden was all up in Grimes' face and he didn't want to blow by him, it's a bad look. I mean, it's not even that he's not trying. Like, he's not trying to. There was one last game where Dame Lillard was on him, and it's like, dude, you should want to, like, do something here. You should want to, like, either take him off the bounce. Whatever you're doing, you got to do something, though. But he's, like, really struggling to find confidence or whatever. And, like, look, I wouldn't love if he got moved away from the starting lineup, but at some point,
understand it.
Yeah, at some point, if this continues, like, you're gonna have to make some move because he's not giving you anything. And then the final thing I will say, because I don't want to turn this into like Julius has played some awful game. He didn't. I still think you watch back that game. I think you watch some of his decisions in the half court were very Julius. And then defensively, like he just lost track of Kawhi multiple times. He lost track of Norm Powell multiple times for open threes. Like he had a sequence. I have to mention this because this sequence at the end of the fucking third quarter drove me absolutely fucking crazy. The Knicks had the ball. They're down 3, bringing the ball up. Quickly's bringing the ball up. You watch back Julius. Julius is standing behind. He's like walking up behind him, clapping for the ball. Get the fuck up the floor. Get the fuck up the floor. And you know what? The last thing I want is Julius Randle bringing the fucking ball up the floor against the shot clock. Especially at the end of a quarter. How many times has he done that? And either takes the worst fucking shot that he bricks, or
it's a turnover.
He doesn't even get a fucking shot up.
It's a turnover.
Get the fuck out of here. I could not. It was the most childish, ridiculous fucking thing I've watched. You are a 10th year vet. You are a fucking 10th year vet, and you're walking up behind Emmanuel Quickley. Get the fuck out of here. That was ridiculous. That was absolutely ridiculous. And this is the shit. This is the shit that makes people like me, it makes it impossible for me to like fully embrace this guy. Because I'm like, do you give a fuck about anything other than like you being the man? Do you really give a shit about anything other than you being the fucking man? That was nuts.
It likens me to, I shared a picture today of RJ looking at Randle on the bench in that game a couple years ago. It was Quickley had found Burks in the corner for that clutch 3.
Was it the Bulls, right?
Versus the Bulls. And he was absolutely furious at the end of that game where he left the court and like launched the ball and like, yeah, I mean, he was basically pissed that, you know, he didn't have an opportunity to touch the rock on the last couple possessions of the game. And that possession that you bring up, it likens, it reminds me of that, you know, bringing very similar vibes of 21-22, which we do not want to relive. But yeah.
Yeah, no, he was. Randle was. I think this is from Hawkeye 420. Randle's responsible for 90% of Norm Powell's threes. He was. He had one at the end of the first half, and you knew it was him because I've never seen him try to close out as fast as he did. I was like, oh wow, you definitely. And he put his hand up like he acknowledged it. I was like, damn, like that must have been a really bad fuck up if he was the one that did that. But it just. I genuinely just don't understand this shit sometimes. Where I'm like, what are you trying to achieve? There was that one play in the third quarter where he had the ball in the corner and like I don't even know what he did, but then Paul George just like took it from him.
Yeah, he just absolutely ripped it from him.
Yeah, I had no idea what was going on there. He did have a nice stretch in the third quarter. Right after that, though, he dimed up RJ a couple times. Then he had another stupid Julius play, but then he had that really nice pick and roll lob to Mitch. And it's like this is the shit that makes it even more like
so infuriating because it's
like
he's capable of doing these plays, but like then he does the bonehead shit, and you're just like, oh my god.
He has. I mean, he had that sequence. This is what happened. And this is why that end of third quarter drove me nuts, because he had that play where he drove in on Zubac. He thought he got fouled, right? He put up a layup. Then then the next possession down, he comes down and tries to do the same thing. He gets his offensive rebound somehow,
and then he tries it again.
He tries it again, and it was just like, dude, like there are three.
It's like
shooters.
an idiot just running into a wall countless times.
And there were three shooters wide open, and then that's what drove me nuts. Is like after this sequence is when he does the whole clapping thing behind Quickley, and I'm like, you've got to be fucking kidding me, man! Like you've got to be kidding me! Like you don't even deserve to take another shot this quarter. Like get the fuck out of here! Like it was ridiculous to watch that. And like those sequences are what drive us crazy. And quite honestly, this is maybe the wrong way to evaluate him in general, but like, or any player in general. But like, I fundamentally believe this at this point. I'm convinced of this. You cannot win. You cannot contend at a high level with a guy this prone to like crazy stretches of
volatility,
individual decision making. Like he does not have. Yeah, he's too volatile, and I don't think he has the like, are there times every player has moments where they're going to force it and do stupid shit, right? He does not.
Self-awareness.
Yeah, I just don't think he brings you enough value otherwise. And then like the defensive stuff, whatever. I don't know. He's such.
He's not good enough offensively consistently to ignore the defensive stuff because he's too volatile.
And then like we don't even know if he can do this stuff in the playoffs, right? Like to date,
he has yet to be seen.
Right. So like it just makes it really, really hard. And I think that's what is most frustrating for me, or I think most people as fans, is just like you don't know. It's like, okay, well, can he do any of this in the playoffs? And then to boot, obviously gets off to this horrible start to start the season. On the plus side, and I think this is only fair to be said, like I actually thought against the Bucks, one, I didn't think his effort was bad against the Bucks. I didn't until that last play. I mean, that last play was bad, but like I didn't think his effort was bad against the Bucks. I also thought he was moving a lot better. Like he looked like he was moving better in that game. He took stupid shots, but he was moving better. He looked again like he's moving better today. He actually had a couple plays where he powered through guys, knocked them off balance, and was able to finish at the rim.
He had some good drives.
Yeah, that was really good to see. He had the funniest lob attempt ever that counted as a basket for him. But like, no, I think you saw some of his movement was better, but like, I know the box score looks really good today. He still hasn't had like one of those explosive fuck you quarters where he just like goes off for 15, 16, 17 points. Like, and that's why I think this feels different.
Last year against the Timberwolves last year.
Yeah. And so I just think like we're waiting for that, because the one thing about him last year that nobody can deny is he was the kind of like he got us started, right? Like he was the leading scorer in first quarters last year. I think he made the most threes in the first quarter last year also. Like he was really, really good to start games last year, and he just hasn't had that going. And it feels like it's very hard for him specifically. It feels like when he doesn't have a good start to the game. So hopefully we see more.
Yeah, because then he spends the rest of the game like forcing it and then making all these bad decisions. And yeah.
This is a good question. Wall Clyde Fraser, who forced more shots after rebounding their own block more, Randle or Melo? I think Randle, but I don't know. Maybe I'm like forgetting. I know Melo used to do that a lot, but
it feels like Randle does it so much more because, like, oh my God.
He might not, but it also just feels so much worse when he does it. Because I can tell so badly. I knew he wasn't going to pass the ball. Like, I knew when he got blocked that first time by Zubac, I was like, he got it back, and I was like, there's no way he's passing this ball. The only way he'll pass it if it's somebody knocks it loose and he gets it like scrambling out to the 3-point line or something. But it was some fucking. I mean, that was It's definitely
That was
something.
something. It was definitely something. I saw some comments here about Mitch. I do want to get into Mitch because I know we briefly mentioned him in the
Yeah.
early part of the game, early part of the post game. And then we'll get into some other IQ bench stuff that I also see in the comments here. Hook over 20 here says Randle was too chaotic. He was good, but he was one of the biggest reasons why it was a close game. I think, or just overall, not just him. I will throw him a bone
Brunson
here.
too.
Brunson too, and I feel like just also on the Clippers side too. The Clippers were also missing a bunch of shots. Like we were both missing a lot of shots, so I just think that's why the game was overall close. But like we said, when the bench came in, that's when things just really shifted. And also the Clippers are dealing with like trying to integrate the
Harden.
bearded man. So
Well, I want to Harden experiment. This is from JK. Harden experiment going to be a failure. Lost DDV multiple times on defense. Can't survive with Harden and Westbrook backcourt in 2023. The usage with that starting lineup. Good luck figuring that out. Like I don't really get it.
I felt like Paul George was kind of invisible tonight because of
Yeah.
all the new pieces and
So
stuff.
assuming this final box score here from ESPN is accurate now, Paul George was 2 of 11 from three or from the field tonight, 10 points. Kawhi Leonard 8 of 16, 18. Westbrook 8 of 13, 17. Harden 6 of 9, 17. I just don't know how you balance Westbrook and Harden, especially on offense with this group. It just doesn't really match up to me. I would imagine that ultimately Westbrook goes to the bench, and then they start whoever the fuck else. But I think that's gonna be an issue. By the way, Boeing Thailand is fucking awful. Like that guy is fucking awful. He is maybe the dumbest player I've ever watched in a while. This guy makes Kelly Oubre look like a fucking genius. That was some of the dumbest basketball I've ever watched. Did you see that one play in the fourth quarter where like Harden tossed it to him and then like I think they were trying to set up like a Spain pick and roll or something, but then Bones was like pointing over to the corner or some shit, and I think they ended up turning it over on that play, but it was a total disaster. It made me so mad when he made that first three because I was like, this is the dumbest shot ever. I'm really upset you made this in the corner. But he's a dumb player. He's an awful player. I imagine I would not be surprised if he eventually drops out of this rotation because I just don't know how you can find the minutes or usage for him when you have the four guys they do. But yeah, but you mentioned Mitch. Like Mitch was awesome tonight. And it's almost like boring at this point because he's just been fucking awesome the entire year.
Yeah,
Like this is as good as he's played.
I mean, look at this stat here from Jordan Bub. Offensive rebounds this season: Lakers 55, Wolves 50, Mitchell Robinson 45, Rockets 45, Bucks 43, Wizards 43. Wizards actually absolutely abysmal, by the way. Thunder 42. So I mean, this right here alone just like states Mitchell Robinson's impact already. And Kurt brings up that he is now plus 3,500 to win DPOY.
I might partake in that.
I put 5 on him when he was plus 8,000, so
Look at you,
looking
Sam.
pretty good now.
Look at you, the fucking master of gambling over here. Do you have a season-long parlay on like him and fucking Quickley to win 6 Man of the Year or something?
No, but now you're giving me an idea.
Yeah, no, look, he's just been so good.
4 steals tonight, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, and the last one he had, I think, basically wrapped up the game for them. But like, the one thing I'll say, I think there's been a lot of stuff about like people feeling like he's part of the problem with why the offense has gotten off such a slow start. Because it's like he's just in the paint all the time. It's crowded, are we just trying to win the possession battle type of stuff? I really don't think he's even close to like the biggest issue with anything that's going on offensively. He just doesn't get the ball enough for him to be the factor, like to be the reason. I really feel, I feel very strongly that like Brunson is struggling to find his shot, which is making him make some really questionable decisions. He's not seeing the floor well. That lob attempt he had to Mitch in the first half was, I don't know what the hell that was. It was like so obvious that was not the pass. I think Grimes was open in the corner. Granted, he's probably like, well, Grimes might shit himself that pass on the ball. So yeah, well, but like it was just such a bad read. And he's made like a lot. He had that play at the end of the fourth quarter. Again, it didn't matter. Like one, I want to say this, Quickley should have not come out of the game. That was insane.
I tweeted it. I was like, I wouldn't have put Brunson back in here because, like, I mean, like, granted, Brunson wasn't really like the worst defensively, but like Quickley was just giving you so much more, and just like the cohesiveness of that lineup. Like, why ruin a good thing? We're lucky that the Clippers didn't fight
Brunson had a
back.
bad game. He was
Yeah.
playing a bad game. So like,
And I
it's not
thought
like,
for a second there, like Thibs was actually
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
be like, "Oh, let's bench Brunson." I thought like Thibs was finally gonna come to his senses and play Quickly the rest of the night out, like he earned it, but he didn't. And it looks like Josh Hart took what should have been Quickly's minutes too. When we'll talk about that, but yeah.
Yeah, look, the Josh Hart thing is stupid to me. He's now the first guy off the bench, and that group sucks. Every time he comes in, and he's with that group where it's like him and Grimes. I'm just like, oh great, we got two wings, neither of whom one guy who doesn't want to shoot, the other guy can't shoot. We got Randle right now who can't shoot, and then we have Mitch or Hartenstein, neither of whom can shoot. This is great. I love this. This is very good. It's just that sort like they have Brunson and Randle right now. They're so kind of focused on trying to find their own offense that wow, Anthony Edwards just fucking went off. But like they're searching. They're like trying to find their own rhythm, and I think it's just costing that whole group. And you've seen that a little bit with the bench, but I feel like with the bench, it's more like trying to figure out roles. It doesn't feel like they're not trying to play together. The starters, it actually feels at times I'm like, are you guys like, are you trying, or is it just like my turn, your turn? You like, I'm gonna take the shot, you take the next one. It just hasn't been. It's not been smooth, and it didn't matter tonight because the Clippers also are not very cohesive, especially not right now.
There was one hilarious play from the Clippers where like they I forgot who was throwing the pass, but like they were throwing the pass to like Norman Powell in the corner, and then PJ Tucker was just like strolling by, and then it ended up being like a turnover. And I was just like, wow, all right, they got a lot of things to figure out. But yeah,
this is a good description. Hawkeye 420. Julius with an intermediate class. Yeah, this was like an intermediate.
not a master class.
Yeah, not a master class, an intermediate class. RJ and Mitch masterclass, it seems. Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing I could say about RJ tonight, and I mean this truly as a compliment, I didn't even think he played that well of the game. Like, I thought it was a good game, but I was like, oh yeah,
it could be better.
Yeah, and it feels good to feel that way because last year I'd probably watching him and like, this is the best thing I've ever watched in my life. But like, I feel like he's playing better. He's hitting a higher level right now as a player than I think we have seen from him generally, like consistently. And it's really, really encouraging, I think, because they really need, I mean, this is what they need, especially with Brunson and Randle, like really searching for their games. You needed him to step up, and he has stepped up. He's been great. And I thought, like, again, and I mean this, like, the best thing is that he struggled tonight, like, or that he didn't have a perfect game, that he didn't make every decision. But on aggregate, you're like, look at the box score and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm going to take that. An efficient 26 points, 4 assists, however many rebounds he had. What do you have? 6 rebounds. Like, yeah, you'll take that every time. Yeah, the 5 turnovers aren't great, whatever. But, he was great. I thought he was really solid tonight. And like, if this becomes an average game for him or something, then you're really cooking with like, you're in a good spot then. If this is a solid game for RJ, now I think, this opens up a Pandora's box of questions as far as like long-term decision making with the roster. But those are good decisions that you'd want to have. So yeah, I'm very, very encouraged by that.
And he seemed to cut out those dumb shots. Remember those dumb shots that he'd take that like dive is that would make his efficiency nosedive. Like he'd start off like his game would start off at like a 9 for 16, but then it'd be like a 9 for like 22 type of night. And he seemed to cut out those type of shots, which is very encouraging to see. So yeah, I mean, and he's getting to the free throw line, hitting his free throws consistently all year. Hopefully this is something that continues. 3 Through his first 5 games this year, he's 22 points per game, 3.6 rebounds, 2.8 assists, 47% from the field, 44% from three. I don't think that's as sustainable as we'd like it to be. 85% from free throw line, 62 shooting, and he reached 5K points today. So shout out to RJ Barrett.
Well, I think the 2-point percentage can still be better. The assist should be higher. Like he should be trying to average 4 assists a game. That should be like his target goal, because you still see times where he forces up a shot. Like he took an early mid-range shot today at the start of the second quarter that I was just like, really? Like that's 16 seconds left. That's the shot we're going for here. But like that's what I mean. Like, even if the 3-point shooting comes down, there's stuff for him to get better at, even within the context of that stat line. That would that would do a lot, really. That would still make him a very efficient player. So, I'm again super encouraged by what I've seen. And it's not, again, it'd be different if it was just the offense, because he had, like, I remember last year he had a month where he was like super efficient. I think it might have been December before he got hurt. But like
sliced open.
Yeah. But the thing that's really encouraging is that his defense has been way better. So, I mean, look, this is as good a start as I could have hoped for. I did not think he would get off to a good start, just because he generally has not been a quick starter, as we know. But yeah, so I'm definitely very, very bullish on what I've seen from him. And honestly, Mitch, I'm like, is there anything to be I don't think he's done a single thing that you'd be like, I don't know if he can keep this up. Like, I'm pretty sure he can continue to be terrible at free throw shooting. And I think he'll be pretty good at all things he's good at. So yeah, this is great. Like, I could not be more happy with what I'm seeing from both of those guys.
Yeah. And it just shows that, like, just having patience with these guys. I mean, it's probably a lesson for maybe we should have some patience with Grimes, I guess we can say. Despite, the frustrations that we see from him. I mean, we had frustrations with RJ. We've had frustrations with Mitch. They both come out really strong this year. Maybe it's just like giving these guys a matter of time to fully mature their games and their bodies.
Well, if you think about it with Mitch, like, Mitch we still had a lot of questions about him before last season started, because we'd seen flashes, but then he got hurt. His 2021-22 season was kind of like, he had really good moments, but then he had stretches where you're like, what the hell's going on? But you saw, like, in his 5th year, it was like, okay, now he's kind of given himself a baseline of, like, really solid starting center. And he's taken a step above that now this year, where it's like, Zubac was a guy, I remember in the past, Zubac has at times, like,
giving him
trouble, gotten him into foul trouble and stuff like that. And he did nothing today. Like, Mitch totally destroyed him, other than a couple of really nice passes from Harden and pick and rolls, which, like, you're just gonna have to live with that, because that's what Harden does. There was nothing there for him. He's done that now against a few guys that he's had trouble with in the past. Like, Valanciunas was another guy that he had trouble with in the past. He totally dominated him in that matchup. It's just the fact that he's now showing you he can dominate matchups against guys that you're like, well, if you want to be a top 10 center, like, these are the guys you have to win your matchups against consistently, and he's doing that. So really, really happy to see how he's playing. And, like, this is also why, I mean, look, Grimes is very frustrating right now, don't get me wrong, but I think we should also think back to, like, Quickley struggled at the start of his 3rd year. RJ at the start of his 3rd year was brutal. We were like, can this guy make a 3? Like, same thing with Quickley, actually, even, right? Like, it is hard. And I think it's instructive to kind of think of how these guys are now, as they've developed and you've given them time, growing into your body and all that type of stuff. And looking at Grimes, like, I think Grimes is struggling right now to kind of find his rhythm, his confidence, whatever. You need to give that time. He's a young player. And while he's doing that, while he's struggling with that, he's not fucking up. He's not, like, sacrificing anything for you on defense. He's still competing. His bonehead errors are not the type of errors that are going to, like, collectively destroy your team or anything. So I think you have to let him kind of at least give him time to grow through this.
It is funny though how he ends up having, like, these moments at the end of games where, like, something just, like, absolutely happens that includes him. Like even the last game versus the Bucks, he's the one that gave up the and one to Dame.
That was such a soft call.
Yeah, it was the worst. He barely touched him. Like we're calling
I
that.
don't know if you guys
in
talked about
the
this at the time.
tournament.
I know that, yes, is Grimes the most responsible for that play? Sure. I'm not. That was the Julius play, right? That's the one we're talking about, the Julius walking around play. If Julius runs back and is just standing in like the middle of the fucking paint, that play never happens. That play never happens, and he can still go and recover to Giannis. And I can promise you, yes, I know Giannis was 3 for 3 from 3 in that game. There's no fucking chance they gave a shit if he was going to take another 3. Like there was no chance. So I don't want to hear like about, oh, well, he's just watching us. And then like I had people telling me like, well, Giannis was walking there too. I'm like, how is that relevant? They have the fucking ball. You're on defense.
You're trying to stop them from scoring.
Right. And the biggest thing is like cutting out any opportunity for an easy basket at the rim in transition. And yeah, he obviously didn't do that. Anyway, not to revisit that clusterfuck of a finish of a game. But yeah, like it just, I think Grimes needs time. And then yeah, like Quickley, again, not the most explosive game. And I think if you did not watch his game, you'd probably be like, I guess it was fine. But I thought he was really good. I thought he changed
defensively. He was great.
I thought he was awesome on defense. His energy, I thought, changed the game early on when the Knicks were kind of like, it felt like they were teetering. I don't know, like maybe not on the edge of losing or something, but like it did feel like they were.
It felt like it was going to be a game that went down to the wire if they didn't blow it open.
Yes, and luckily they did blow it open in that fourth. That was really nice to see.
I see people in the comments a little bit concerned about at least Quickley's minutes, just because it seems like Josh Hart is jumping him in that area as well as DiVincenzo. Do we think this is like a symptom of Thibs's early season experimentation and he'll go back to Quickley being like first guy off the bench, or do we think this is something more so to stay? It does seem like Thibs does have some type of favoring towards playing Josh Hart a lot.
I don't know. I guess I'm definitely concerned. I'm not gonna lie. I am concerned. I thought tonight, like him getting pulled when he got pulled was just so dumb to me. I was just like, I cannot fathom why, because Brunson's not the type of guy that if you sat him in that moment,
he would have been like pissed. It's not like a Julius thing.
No, he would definitely, he'd understand it. He'd probably be like, yeah, I played like shit. Like it is what it is. So I didn't like that. I don't like Hart being the first guy off the bench, especially because that lineup is so bad. Like it just is bad. It's bad this year. It was fucking hideous to watch in the playoffs last year. Like we don't need to watch that lineup anymore. And I guess maybe Thibs wants to give it more time because he sees something with it that like he likes. Fine, but if that's a thing that is happening, 20 plus games into the season, that's a real concern because it's not a good lineup. That spacing sucks, and they just don't have enough creation or ball handling or spacing in that group. So I don't really love it. I mean, it's fine, I guess, if you need like in certain matchups. And I do think some of this tonight might have been matchup oriented, where he's like, they got they got these 3 wings in Russ, who's a really big guard. Like we need to be like that. That's why I need Hart on the floor.
It could be that thing.
But I still think that like he needs more minutes. There's no way Hart should be getting more than him on average. There's no reason that you cannot find 26, 28 minutes a night for this guy. I think it's very, very obvious he should be playing at least that much. And to be fair to Thibs, and I know that people will be like, well, then why not just play more minutes and give Brunson less? Like, I think part of this is that the Brunson Quickley lineups this year just haven't clicked yet. Partially that's probably because Brunson has just been playing really bad on offense, but like they just have not clicked yet. So I wonder if because of that, he's giving them a shorter leash or something. I don't know. But yeah, look, I would be lying to you if I said I'm not concerned. But I also know that like I was concerned at the same time last year about his minutes, and eventually like Thibs discovered that he was good and discovered good rotations and things happened and that was good. So like I would pump the brakes on anybody that's like, this is a disaster. This is going to cost us him or whatever. Like I don't know. At the end of the day, like I just think
I think it's a compounding effect of not paying Quickley, and then you're reducing his role, you're reducing his minutes. People are like, I guess, jumping ahead to the future of like, hey, what if this other team offers Quickley a bigger role, more money, stuff like that. I think that's what's going through people's minds, which is fair, I think. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be too overly concerned just yet. We do have to see how things play out. Like we said, there's this experimentation phase with Thibs in the early part of the season, as they're trying to figure things out with this team. So we'll see maybe like 20, 25 games in that things are a little bit different and things are a little bit closer to last year.
Yeah, I'm just the corpse of Khalil Mack just ended this game. I was not even watching it. But yeah, like it's just you've got to just let it play out a little bit. This is from Chris Riviera. Thomas didn't discover anything. The front office intervened, and injuries catapulted IQ to major minutes. I don't really think the injuries mattered because he was getting major minutes before any injuries hit. Do I think the front office told Thibodeau to get some of his shit together? Sure, I do think they did that. I don't know why we would think that may not happen again this year, though. Like, it could totally happen again this year. So, I would, again, give it 20 games before you start freaking out too much about the minutes. I do get, like, like, especially because of how stupid the minutes were in the Milwaukee game. I totally get it. He needs more burn. He's basically the only guy who on off the bench who consistently can like create any type of shot. So you do need something, like you need to play him more. He's the fourth guy in this team to that can actually create a shot. Everybody else kind of needs things set up for them. But to just go back to his game tonight, yeah, the defense was really good again, as per usual. Some of his defense on Bones Highland is awesome. He also, something that really impressed me, he got checked by Kawhi Leonard on 2 straight possessions in the second quarter. And on the first one, he burned him off the pick and roll. And I forgot who he set up. He set up somebody. It was a good shot. Whoever made it. They made it, and it was really nice. And then the other one, it was just, I don't remember exactly what happened. I might have set up a sequence that ended up with an open shot that somebody missed. But like the fact that he's seeing guys like that and is
not being phased.
Yeah, he's like comfortable calling his own number in a pick and roll is pretty awesome. So yeah, I'm definitely encouraged by everything I've seen from him so far this year too. It's just like honestly, like Brunson, Randle, Grimes, these dudes are the 3 guys that I'm like waiting for them to
wake up.
To just really get it together. Especially, I mean, obviously, especially Randle and Brunson, because like those 2 are super key for whatever success the team is going to have. You know, we can sit here and talk about minutes and rotations and this guy and this dude, whatever. Without those 2 guys firing, like this team is not going to do the things that you want and hope that they can do.
Yeah, I mean, with Brunson, it seems like Brunson's been really able to play really well against these teams that have been bad with their perimeter defense, i.e. Hawks, Bucks. I mean, Bucks have just been giving it up lately. But but yeah, I don't know what it's gonna take for Brunson to really get into this consistent groove. Again, I'm not too concerned with him. I'm more concerned with the other guy who's really volatile. But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see with Brunson. I don't remember it being this rough early on last season.
No, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't. This is,
yeah.
I would venture to guess this might be his worst like 6-game stretch in terms of shooting percentages of his career. Like it really would not surprise me at all.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's like some Trae Young type of stuff.
JK says, I know we're only 7 games in, but what does Mitch Robinson have to have for serious consideration for all defense? Weirdly, I don't think he has the offensive ceiling to get DPOY.
But if Rudy Gobert has the offensive ceiling to get DPOY, I do understand the point you're making, though. I don't know. I think the Knicks have to start winning games. They got to string together victories. If they're a 50-plus win team or around there, he'll be in consideration.
I think a combination of that, as well as like if the Knicks have like a top 10 defense for the year.
Right. If they stay the way they are right now, he will be in consideration for sure.
Yeah. But they also have to have team success too.
Yeah, and I think the honestly the most encouraging thing to me about this team's defense so far, like even against the Bucks, as dumb as so many of the things that happened were, the Knicks needed to basically shoot like shit in that game from three, and the Bucks had to have like Giannis be infected with the spirit of Ray Allen to win that game. Like, and even then their offense sucked. They couldn't get anything inside at all. Like the Knicks defense right now is playing at a really high
Yeah,
level.
the Bucks killed us from three. They had Marjon Beauchamp and Jay Crowder just absolutely lighting us up. Dame decided to start hitting shots late in the game as he does. But I think
Your boy Jay Crowder.
That's not my boy. I hate Jay Crowder. I absolutely despise Jay Crowder with every fiber of my spirit.
Your favorite player, Jay Crowder.
Like when he was hitting every single three felt like a shotgun blast. It was insane. But yeah, they had to absolutely light us up from three for them to like beat us. But yeah, like you said, our defense, I mean, hopefully it can continue trending like this. I mean, it's funny. I mean, I think we all thought before the season started that like our offense was going to be the thing that like really carried us to start the year at least. And we thought the defense was going to be something that would at least take some time, or at least it wouldn't be good until like the playoffs. I remember Tyrese was saying a lot that like our defense really like picked up in the playoffs. Last year, our defense is more suited for the playoffs. And the team just really seems to lock in during that time. But I mean, it's very encouraging to see them start off the year playing well defensively. And if their offense could pick up to where they were last year, I mean, that's looking like a really good team. But that is asking a lot right now, considering where things are.
Yeah, I don't know. Defensively, we'll see. Just to kind of talk about something a little bit different. I thought, I really thought that I don't understand what this Clippers team is trying to do. Like I'm like watching them the whole game. I'm like, okay, like I don't know if you heard Breen at some point early in the second half. He was like, the Clippers have only shot 7 free throws, and I'm like, I don't know if you watched the fucking Clippers at all in the last years, Breen, but like they don't shoot free throws. Like they don't get free throws, and I guess they're like hoping Harden can give them that.
Yeah, they're mostly like they're really a heavy jump shooting team, mid-range 3-pointers. I mean, Russ was the only guy that really seemed to be like taking it into the paint really a lot, and that was about it. But yeah, I mean, I don't really see where the free throws were going to come from.
Yeah, it was weird. Hawkeye 420, what's funny about those three you mentioned, Twins, they have had about 2 good games, in quotes, good so far. Grimes, maybe just the Bucks game. Yeah, like I think Grimes is the only game you'd say was like, yeah, he played well, and that was the Bucks game. Randle, I think you'd say tonight and the Hawks game, I guess, if you want.
Depending on how low your bar is.
No, nobody's here to judge. And Brunson, I guess you could say too. Like, I know it's crazy to say this. That Hawks game, I actually didn't think he played that well. I thought he shot the 3 well. Like he was on fire from 3, but I did not think he played very well. I think he was a great outlet. He did not. I was like, he's not doing a great job point guarding. I thought he got cooked on. That was the one defensive game he had this year where I was like, he was actually atrocious. But yeah, so like aside from the Bucks game, I wouldn't even, I don't know. I would say like he has had 2 at most. So yeah, it's been rough, and we 3 and 4, you take it, move on, but then they cannot be more than a 500 team if those guys cannot get into a consistent rhythm. It won't happen. It's not possible for it to happen. This is our mixtape. Adding Dante DiVincenzo and RJ's off-ball defense being good has created so many deflections and turnovers for us this year. Yeah, that's a great point. Knicks were able to get into transition a shit ton tonight, and they've been better about it all season. It's just been about converting your chances and all that stuff. But like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, DiVincenzo's he made a couple of plays tonight that were really spectacular. That block he had on Harden was nuts.
Stealing Harden.
Yeah, he's for a guy, his wingspan isn't that big, by the way. He's
just like really active.
Yeah, he's got,
and he gambles a ton, which pays off for him.
He's got great hands.
All right. All right. They're just gonna go with the gambling part, but okay.
But you know, he's just active and like I don't know. I really like how he plays defense. I just like how he plays. I think he plays really hard. And what you just said this earlier, Sam, right? It's like having a second Hart out there. Like, yeah, it's like Hart, but like a guy that you're like, oh, but he shoots 40% from three. This is cool. I like this. Let's do this. Let's do more of this. Yeah, he looked he's gonna be fine. I'm really not worried about him at all. I've not been worried about him, to be honest, at all season. This to me is like very different than the Hartenstein one because at the start of last year, I was like, what the fuck does this guy do? Like, what does Isaiah Hartenstein actually do here? Is he so he can't grab defensive rebounds. He
And we're not using him as a hub to pass the ball.
Yeah.
So like what's his purpose?
Yeah, what exactly is it that you do here? But
he's not even good at being a fake stretch five.
yeah, I remember that 3-point experiment with him ended like super fucking quick. Tibbs watched him take like 3 threes and was like, all right, that's forget. We are good here. But you know, like this to me has just always felt like him trying to find his place in various lineups he's playing in. And I do think there's some of that going on with like these groups in general. Like I have felt that Tibbs is maybe searching for like I feel like he doesn't know exactly what combinations he can get away with using with DiVincenzo, but also just like with having 3 guards, right? Like that is a pretty small lineup even in the NBA now. Like I get some hesitancy and trying to figure shit out, which is why I'm like a little bit. I'm not ready yet to just light the torches. What is it? The torches of Gondor, or the fuck it is, and get the Rohirrim coming here. We don't need to do that yet, but like, I'm very. I've just not been concerned at all about DiVincenzo. He's always felt like he's perfectly functional and just searching for kind of like where to get his shots. And that was like what was good tonight about some of the threes he made, where they were threes where I was like, that's tight. And then it was like, okay, no, that's good. Shoot that. Yeah, that's a good shot. Good shot. He hit that one in the corner, like off of the Quickley pass, where I was like, damn, like he did not hesitate on that at all. And I think he might have even been like slightly behind the backboard. So, yeah, man, if that's the confidence we're getting from him, I'm ready. Like I'm very, very happy with that. I think him and Quickley are gonna be awesome off the bench together, which I've said forever. And yeah,
just their activity defensively. JL brings up, as we were talking about the Clippers earlier, he said their depth already stinks. They're now stuck with Moussa Diabate as their backup center because Julius ended Plumlee. By the way, I saw a bunch of people indicating that Julius did that on purpose and was trying to be dirty. Shit just happens. Sadly, maybe Plumlee's leg is done.
Yeah, this was not like a Bam Adebayo situation.
Yeah,
this is not a Bam. Yeah, I didn't think it was not dirty. It was bad luck. And I think Julius, they even showed him like going over and, I think he apologized or at least checked in on him as he was getting carried off the floor. Not that I'm sure Plumlee like was probably like, yeah, all right, dude, thanks. I'm gonna go get this X-ray now.
To show that my ACL has been completely shredded.
But yeah, like their depth is pretty depleted. It feels like all their good depth is perimeter guys, right? It's like Powell, if you're still a Bones guy, Bones.
Terrence Mann.
Yeah, Mann's hurt. That's a big loss for them right now because he definitely gives them some juice that they need. And he can play like he's kind of like a Hart or DiVincenzo where he plays bigger than what his position is. But yeah, like I don't know, their depth is gonna be bad. The one thing they do have going for them right now is this year they can still sign buyout guys, pretty sure. With the CBA, because I think after next year they would not be able to sign buyout guys that got bought out for more than the minimum. So they might still be able to find something on the in the buyout market.
Dwight Howard.
I have a feeling he will not be playing in the NBA anytime soon. Just my hunch. But yeah, they do need a backup center for sure if Plumlee's out for extended time. And yeah, Taj might not. That's a good one. That'll probably happen. You're right. They need something. That front court depth is fucking nasty That is some horse shit. Yeah, I like Moses Diabate as kind of like a project dude because he went to Michigan, so I actually watched him. I thought he was like a really talented guy that probably should have stayed another year, but like
He's not a guy you put on a contender and be like, "Hey,
yeah,
you're back up 5
yeah, like
in
I don't
year
know,
2."
right? And the other, I think a small thing, not even a small thing, a pretty significant thing, they lost in that trade to get Hart in. Batum was like when they used to run all those units, like that was 5 out, and
Batum at the 5.
Batum was a center. I guess you can do that, Tucker, but Batum is way more capable as a shooter, and honestly, even as just like a playmaker, decision maker. So I don't know if that's even close to as dynamic as that lineup often was. I think that's a pretty big loss for them. They got to figure out a way to fill that out, but
Unless they try to do the Houston Russ at the 5 thing, where it was like PJ Tucker was technically the 5, but it was more so like Russ was the 5.
well, but they can't do it because they traded away Covington in this trade, so they can't.
Oh.
They missed their opportunity. Yeah, I don't know. They also are just so unathletic. They're so unathletic. Like we look like, like we look like we could have fucking.
We were flying around the court on them.
Yeah, they are so slow. Their most athletic player is probably what, like Bones
or Terrence Mann.
Yeah, it's just they're very, very slow. And then like they have these other dudes, right? It's like
they're old too.
Yeah, they're old. I don't know. This team just feels very slow and very limited in what it can do offensively. It's also like you were a great half court team like you're a totally half court team now because Harden's not going to like push tempo or something. I don't know. And I really don't understand Russ can't start in that lineup. That's such a joke. Like that's crazy. Bones better than Quickley Highland. Yes, correct. I still can't get over that they did not call that foul at the end of the third quarter. That was obvious. Like you have to call that. You like it's not like he grazed him. Like he fucking hit him. He hit Quickley the 3. What's up?
Which foul?
When Quickley hit the 3. Like they did
yeah.
He got fucking hit on that. Like straight up. Like it's not like an exaggeration. He got hit. You have to call that.
I'm surprised they didn't call a flopping technical on us for that. Like,
what did you think about? What did you think about Tibbs' second challenge? I was fine with it actually.
Yeah, I mean, I think after the first one, you're kind of playing with like house money at that point, so it's just like, might as well just go for it. I mean, it's Harden, so you never know. You could win it, you could not, and they didn't. So
it felt like I don't know if he even thought that he would get it overturned. I think he was just really pissed about that call. Because what so they said that they called it as contact on the elbow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I watched the initial replay, I thought the contact, if there was any, was on the landing spot. And so I wonder if he challenged it because he was just like, we're not getting this fucking call all year. Like, I'm going to challenge this just fucking out of principle. Because I mean, like, well, this shouldn't be a fucking call, should it? Right? Shouldn't be a fucking whistle. I was fine with it. I thought, and look, I'll say this. If it was a call about him touching the fucking elbow, he did not touch his elbow. So I don't know how that could have stood on the replay.
I don't know. The refs have been weird with this whole landing space thing ever since it's been implemented. Very inconsistent with it. So next game is versus the Spurs and Wembanyama. The Spurs have been really weird with the way they've used Wembanyama. I mean, Devin Vassell has been out, and they really haven't fed, I want to say, Wemby the ball as much as at least people think they should.
I don't think they can. Their point guards, they don't have a point. Like
they're running Point Sohan.
And then they have. I like Troy Jones. He should be starting. I actually don't get why he's not.
Yeah.
But they and none of these fucking guards in the NBA, they can't throw entry passes. I don't know how did they give up 152 to the Pacers today? Like what was happening in this game?
I low-key want to check out these highlights just to see how they gave up a bunch of threes though to Halliburton, Buddy, and Nesmith.
nobody on the Pacers. Halliburton had 3 threes. Nobody on the Pacers had more than 3. Or no, Buddy Hield had 5, but nobody on the Pacers had more than 23 points.
Yeah.
So this is just like a total, just fucking like
everyone come in and get your own.
Yeah, team beatdown, just awful. Wembanyama still had a nice little fantasy productive line for me. So thank you, Victor. Yeah, I don't know. This is like a game where I really need Julius to be chill and not be like, I got to show this guy it's my league. Like,
I got to give him his welcome to the NBA moment.
KF33, what's up, Shwin and Sam? Not much, man. Just talking about the Knicks. What up to you?
Yep.
They refuse to play Trey Jones, JK. Spurs going to tank for another generational big three, and the NBA will reward them for it. Probably. Yeah, like I think the Knicks should win this game. I know that the Spurs had their nice, fun 2 games against
the Suns,
the Kevin Durant's. But like, I think the Knicks match up better. They have more size. They're stronger inside. It just feels like this should be a game the Knicks win. They need to. And also, let's be real. The Knicks need to start stringing some wins together, getting some momentum. We need to get back to 500 first of all, and start getting this going. When we got to establish ourselves at home too. Like, the good thing is the Knicks are 3-4, and their starting lineup, as we've talked about extensively, has not done. Like they're still finding whatever it is they're looking for. So like, there's plenty of reason to believe that there's more for this team to achieve and more for them to do. It just, you got to do it at some point.
Yeah. All right. I think we can end things off here.
I think so.
Pretty much talked about everything. Shout out to everyone that came through. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. We're on our way to 1K subs. We will be back on Wednesday after the Spurs game. That will be Kith night. The Knicks will be debuting their new city jerseys. So
what the fuck is the schedule? We play Wednesday and then we don't play till fucking Sunday, and we play at fucking noon on Sunday.
Oh boy, that should be fun. Noon game on Sunday. Those are always amazing for the Knicks.
Yeah.
Versus who? The Hornets?
Yeah, the Hornets.
That could end up being very ugly for either us or for them.
We'll see.
Yep, we'll see. So shout out to everybody that tuned in. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Check out all the links in the description. We got links to the site, merch, Patreon, and Twitter. Make sure you guys are following us there. Make sure you guys check out the Patreon. There's access to shows like Schwinn's show, Strick and Roll, as well as Jeff's show, Strictly NFL with Khan, as well as many other benefits in all the other tiers. So make sure you guys check all of that out. We'll catch you guys on Wednesday. Everyone have a good Tuesday and a good night. Peace.